Okay, like I said before, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the free Power BI and SQL Masterclass. And we are Grand Analytics. And what we do is to help individuals transition into tech seamlessly to build future resilient careers and also to help those that are already in tech to upskill. And we do this by trainings, offering trainings, conferences, forums, and sending out information that would help you to know what is happening in the tech industry and also to know how to transition, to help you with your transitioning, to help you with your positioning and portfolio building, and also to know where to target. So basically, we look at your interest. We don't just we don't do things abstractly. We look at your interest and we channel your we look at your interest and we channel your training towards your interest. So sometimes we have the group trainings, and even within the group trainings, we have the way we customize it to individuals. So we actually get down to the individual bits as well, and we look at what you're interested, where you're going, what career you're looking at, and how to get there. So we help you with your roadmap. Basically, that's what we do. We help you with your roadmap that will help you to get there. And we also help you with your professional branding as well. And my name is Ade Dotun. Some call me Ade, some call me Dotun, and some also know me as Stella, and some call me Ade Dotun. So whichever way you call it, it's fine. Okay. So today we are going to be looking at how SQL and Power BI work together. So we are going to explore it. We are going to explore both sides. Of course, we're going to end up with a dashboard, and I'm hoping that we'll wait till the end so we can have some proper discussions. Because what's the use of a dashboard if it's not solving problems? What's the use of a dashboard if you're not being able to draw, if you're not able to draw, insights from it? Okay, Bolanle is from UK. Thank you, Bolanle. And so, what is the use of your dashboard if it's not giving any sort of intelligence? So, it's going to be beyond the dashboard. So, we're going to start from the SQL Server. Okay, Babatunde is from South Africa. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start from the SQL Server and we're going to go straight into the Power BI environment. We're going to see how to maneuver things in both environments. And we hope to be out of here before uh, in the next 1 hour. So we're going to move really fast. My advice is do not blink. I don't know if anybody has seen that movie. Don't blink. I'm not sure I've seen it, but I heard a lot about it. If I have, because I'm not one for horror movies. Um, but don't blink, okay? And if you have any questions, so that we can move fast. If you have any questions, we would take those at intervals. So without further ado, let us go and see what is. Let's move on. So the environment we'll be using today are the SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, and we'll be using the Power BI desktop. So if what you have is the MySQL, that is also okay. The codes are not so different from, they are similar, to be honest. It's just a few keywords that are usually different, but the ones we're going to use today are not they are not different for both environments. So if you have one environment or the other, it's fine. You can still do the project. But Power BI is Power BI, so there's no need to have any issues with that. But for the, I think we sent out the installation video for the MySQL server. We did not send out an installation video for the SSMS. Excuse me, we didn't send that out. So at the end of the class, would upload a document for that. So there's a document that you can use that can act as a guide for you to download SSMS, because we'll be using SSMS here. But if what you have is SQL Server, the MySQL Server, it's also good. You can use it. The codes are it's the same environment. It's similar basically. Okay, so thank you everyone for responding in the chats. I can see the chats are going on and on and on. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm going to fire out my. Let's start with our agenda for today, so we can share. Okay, now we're going to move super fast. Entire screen and share. And that will start from the 11:30 mark, so I can write that. Okay, can we see my screen now? I have to be sure. Okay, participants can now see my screen, finally. Okay, so let me close this. Okay, so I'm just going to try to run through this again. I'm sure we heard what I said before, but because this is now being recorded with the screen. So what we are doing today is working with SQL and Power BI, and we are going to look at the what, the why, the how, results, what is Power BI and SQL. We've already discussed that. The SQL server database. The database is like a container that holds data. So, and the language of communication, the language of interaction is what we call the structured query language, SQL. And Power BI is a business intelligence tool that helps us to study insights and helps us to study trends, basically. So the how, we're going to also talk about the how. How do we work with both environments to achieve our goals? Because most or all of the organizations you'll be working with, they all have databases and they have SQL databases. So it's either the database is on-prem, which is on the premises, or the database is in the cloud. So, and the only difference is there's one in the cloud and there's one on the premises. And the mode of interaction between both, there's not a lot of difference. Okay, so you can always replicate the results, not a lot of difference. Though the SQL databases we have on-prem are usually like more robust, probably because they were the traditional ones, and the ones in the cloud, and also the ones in the cloud, not so much because there are different variations. You have the databases, you have the data lakes, you have the data warehouses, you have all of these ones, all of this storage locations with their own set of requirements and with their own capabilities. So so once you can master how to work with databases on-prem, or on your computer, you can always replicate those results in the cloud. We just take it a little bit higher. Just know how the cloud works. You had the cloud computing information to it, and we're also going to look at the results of doing this. And so these are the steps, and we'll come back to all of this. Issues to be addressed for what we'll be doing today. And also, we'll be looking at creating this dashboard. Yes, this wonderful dashboard here to answer the questions, and also our sales forecast, basically. I hope we can get to the forecast bit, to be honest. Yeah, so let's see what we can do in the next 45 minutes. So we'll go back to our SQL SSMS, sorry. Oh, I closed it, so that will be SSMS. Yes, SQL Server Management Studio. And we will send out the installation document for this. But if it's the other environment you have, which is the SQL, my SQL server, that's also okay. Not a lot of difference considering the codes that we'll be using today. So we just wait for that to fire up. And yes, it is up. And this is the interface that you get. Your password. I could remember password because I'm not so good with remembering passwords. But if your job role is going to be a database administrator, you better remember the password of your database. So I'm going to connect, and yes. So my Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio is connected to the server. So this is the interface with which you interact with the actual server. So what we are going to do now is we're going to create a database. I already created one and I called it Masterclass. But if you want to create a database, it's not hard. You just come here and you just right click and you click on new database. Or you can do it via the SQL query scripts. It just creates database name. That's it. And you can specify the parameters you want for your database. So when you right click on this new database, it's going to give you an interface, and this is the interface that it gives you. So you can write your database name and you just click on OK, and you are all set and ready, basically. Yeah, so that's it. So I was going to create tables. So you can just open this And at the moment, we do not have any tables except the system tables that are here. And if you want to bring in external tables, you can actually click on this. It gives you a whole script that you can amend. And we have, like I said before, we did a masterclass in February, and that was on creating databases, SQL databases, designing and creating SQL databases. And we talked about how to create tables and the different ways of creating tables. So you can check that out on our YouTube channel. And we also ended up drawing an entity relationship diagram, which is very important to show the relationship between the tables within the SQL environment. So here we're going to just do task in order to upload tables into the database. You click on your database name, which is Masterclass, which is the one we just created, and task, and then you come to import flat file because we're bringing in a CSV. You use import flat file. If you're bringing in an Excel sheet, or maybe you're bringing maybe something like a .NET framework, other things like that, you use to import data. So import flat file expects to accept a CSV document. Okay. So next, and the location for my file is on my desktop. And I'm going to, yes, this is it. I have my Superstore orders and Superstore returns. These are the CSVs that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to click on open, and I'm just going to change that to Superstore orders. And it's going to be next. So it's going to let me preview my data to see what is there, to see the columns. So I can see the columns, I can see what my data looks like before bringing it in, just to be sure that I'm bringing in the right thing. And I can even see that I have some negative figures on my profit column. So I can see all of those things here. And the next thing I'll do is next. And here you can actually specify your primary key. So my primary key for the sales orders table is going to be the row ID. And I'm going to click that because that's the unique identifier for my table. I'm not going to allow nulls for the primary key, but for every other thing I can allow nulls. It's just you can tick, it's up to you, or the discussions that you have with remember we are simulating an actual business environment. So before you carry out things like this, you should have a discussion with those that are in charge of the data that you will be manipulating. So you don't just go on to do things. You have to have discussions because part of the skills that you should have as a data analyst is being able to work as part of a team and being able to negotiate with stakeholders. Very important. So I'm going to leave customer ID and just leave every other thing as it is, and let's see how it goes. Next, to complete the operation, click finish. So I'm going to click finish. And this is only a warning, but the truth it is already up to one cell of data may have been grouped during insert from the following columns. Profit up to one cell of data may have been dropped. Sorry, not grouped, dropped.
Okay,
So
let me send you this one.
please, can you mute? So up to one cell of data may have been dropped. So it's just a warning, and but the table has already been loaded, because if you try to load the table again, you can see operation complete here. If you try to load the table again, it will tell you that the table has already been loaded. So we want to load another table, so we can just piggyback previous and then browse again for another one. And click on Superstore returns, and this we'll make all of this we'll make this available, the documents, so that you can practice with it. And your the table schema is DBO. DBO basically means database objects, so it's nothing to worry about. And here we have returned, and this is our data, yes. And these are our columns. We have just two columns. So our primary key is order ID, and we do not want to allow nulls in there. So next, finish. And that is a success. We have uploaded both tables. So we'll be working with two tables, but we'll also be during our transformation, we'll be looking at other things that we can do in Power BI and in SQL. So we have our tables here. We can just close this and check if these tables are here now. We can't see them, so we just refresh and we can click on that. We can expand to see, and there we have it. We have our tables here, superstore orders and superstore returns. If you click, you can see your columns, you can see everything, and the type and all of that. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is, now that we've loaded our tables, let's go back to our, so it doesn't look like we're just moving around. So we've created a database called Masterclass. We've loaded our database. We've we've loaded the tables into the database. So let's look at what the tables, what we have on our tables, the columns and all of that, before performing table transformations and adding new columns, and going into Power BI to do other things. So let's come back here. And what we are going to do is we're going to click on New Query, because we want to view our table. And the only way we are going to be able to do that is to write the queries. Now, it's important to also note that if you have a number of databases in your on your SSMS on your server, if you have a number of databases on your server, you have to specify what database you want to use. And the way to specify that is just to write use. When you write use, you can just write the name of your database, or come to the GUI here. It's already, because I just created it, so it's here. You can just pick the master class, pick the database you want to use. So they've made this environment super interactive for us to be able to do what we need to do. So what we want to do now is we want to check the data in our tables. Let's see. And we are going to do that using the select statement, select all from, that will be superstore orders, which is our first table, and semicolon. Always use the semicolon. So it's executed the query, and we have 9,994 rows here. 9,994 rows, and I think probably about 19 columns. And we can see is giving us some other weird figures here. But anyway, we'll sort that out. And we have, okay, let me move this up a bit so that we can see it. Okay. So what we have here now is we have we have the row ID, we have the order ID, order date, ship date. We have two dates. We have the ship mode, we have the customer. Clearly, with the ship mode and all of that, we already know that this is an e-commerce data set. Because it's an e-commerce data set. And what do they sell? Maybe office furnitures and they sell all sorts, technology, office supplies, and and all of those things. So we can see already from here that, and we have the figures, we have the sales, we have quantity, we have discount, and we have profits. So we have a lot to work with that we can draw intelligence from. So I know that you may have some questions in your mind. So you have to, when you get a data set, put yourself in the shoes of your stakeholder, or in the shoes of your of those in the C-suite, of those that are going to look at the reports, to know the kind of what they would expect. Obviously, you have to discuss with your stakeholders as well. But because we are the stakeholders today, we should be able to, draw out some trends and some questions. Okay, sorry about that. I was going to admit, I think because okay, I believe I've admitted the person. Let me go back. Okay. So let's also see what is in the second table. Please, if you are just coming in, can you mute? Thank you very much. And I've just control copied, and I'm just going to change this to returns to be trying to be more efficient with time. So this is the second table, and we have our order ID and the return column. And this is just for the status of goods that were returned. So for our order ID is the primary key for this column, and we can, we can talk to both tables. Both tables can talk to each other using the order ID, basically. That's what it means. So this is what we have in our table. So let us start with our transformations. First of all, let me go back to the superstore orders and let's see the columns that we have here. Obviously, with these columns, what we want to do with these columns now is um, we want to make sure that the columns have the right data types, and they also have because all these figures are outrageous. There's uh there's this thing in Power BI that if you want to optimize operations in Power BI, make sure that whatever transformations you're doing, you do it before bringing your data into into the Power BI environment. So most of your transformations should be done at source. So our source here is the SQL database. So most of the transformations should be done within the SQL database environment. That's important to note. So whatever transformation you can do here, you do here before you move your data into the Power BI environment. So the first thing we are going to do is before we come over to all of these sales and things that are here, let's come here to we have the order date and the ship date. So we know that if you put yourself in the shoes of the customer, when you order certain things, you expect them to come within a certain period. So what we want to do, the first thing we want to do now is we want to get the number of days that it takes to deliver products within the order date and the ship date. So that is the first transformation we are going to do. And how did we come about that? Let's go back here. Let's come back to our Power BI slides. Because whenever you want to start anything that has to do with business intelligence, the first point of call should be, what are you trying to solve? What exactly are we trying to solve? You can't just come up out of the blue and just draw a dashboard and expect everybody to key into your wonderful dashboard. Is it solving a problem? So the first thing is, what are you trying to solve? What issues are there to be addressed with you? That should be the reason why you're creating a dashboard anyway. So here we want to look at the trend analysis for the KPIs. KPIs like profit, like sales, like orders. We want to look at breakdown of sales and profit by region and categories. We want to see if the regions are hitting their targets, or are they just, are they just selling, or are they just playing around? And we want to see the impact of late deliveries. If possible, we want to see what the future forecast will be like. So we are going to hope to achieve all of this before 11:20, and before 12:20, probably in the next 40 minutes or less. So like I said before, don't blink. If you follow closely, you would understand it. So the impact of late deliveries, if we want to measure the impact of late deliveries, we need to know how many days it takes to deliver goods between the order date and the ship date. And the way to do that is we come back here to our SQL Server. Where is it now? Yes, and the way to do that is we are going to create a new column called delivery time, or maybe delivery days. We can call it delivery days. So we are going to create a new column called delivery days, and we are going to do a calculation, add a calculation to it. So in order to create a new column in the SQL Server Management Studio, is also applicable in the MySQL environment, if that is what you have. We use what we call the alter table statement. If you do not use, now the alter table statement is a data definition language, meaning it defines what the server should do. And with data definition languages, they are not they are not, it's not something you can change. It's a permanent change to the database. Basically, that's the word for it. So we use what we call the alter table statement. So the alter table, and the table that we want to alter here is the superstore orders and superstore orders. So superstore orders on dash orders. A part of me is expecting it to do the autocomplete thing, and it's not. Superstore orders, and we are going to add. So add, we are going to use the keyword add. Add, when it sees alter table and it sees add, it knows that the next thing you want to do is a new column. So the name of our new column is let's call it delivery days. Oh, that doesn't look like let me use delivery time. So The new column is delivery time. So what it expects now is, okay, it expects the data type and if it's going to be null or not null. But because we are creating a new column and we want the new column to have values, we are going to specify the values straight away. So I'm going to use what we call has, which is called an alias in SQL. So has is going to, with has, I'm going to specify what I want to be in the delivery time column. So my has is going to be, after specifying my has, I'm going to use what we call a date div. And date div in Power BI, date div in SQL, in the SQL Server environment, simply takes in the argument of the number of days. It takes in the day argument, takes in the um, years, the months, and even the hours and the seconds. So it takes in all of those arguments. And what date div does is it gives you the difference between two dates, just as you can see here. Now, the what is day? It is not days. Just so you know, so you don't start having issues with your. And the first date is order date, and the second date is ship date. So this is what we have here, and we close our brackets. Always, as it is with programming languages, whatever you open, you close. Whatever you open, you close. It's as simple as that. Okay, so we are going to run this, and we expect to see a new column. And so where is my execute? This is execute. See that command completed successfully. So if I should run superstore orders now, um, if I should run superstore orders now, I should see my new column somewhere here. And that's it. There we have a delivery time at the very end here. We have the delivery time at the very end. So that is what this is what we've done for this. Now, the next thing we are going to do, we want to also um, take some of our columns and to change their data types. Now, to be honest, we really don't even need to we really don't need to do that here. We don't need to do it here. If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, you can't. You don't have to. Because at the end of the day, I've noticed that even when you get into Power BI, you're still struggling with some of these things that have come from here. So you really do not need to bother yourself even with this, because when you get to Power BI, you will still find the same values having outrageous numbers, and you still need to change those numbers. So I think for now, we would go with just the date delivery, and we would go and do the remaining changes in Power BI. So for the SQL Server environment, you can do a lot of other things. You can create tables here. And if you want to create more tables, you can refer to our masterclass of last month, where we created tables in the SQL environment. So this is just one of the transformations, not a lot to be done here. We've added a new column. Okay, so let's check because we need to move fast. We started late, so we need to move a little bit faster than we are moving now. Transformation and loading, okay, add new columns with sales figures rounded to two decimals. So we can always do that in Power BI. And uh, let's go into our Power BI to continue with that. So what we are going to do also with Power BI here is we are going to load the data two ways. We're going to try to load the data two ways, and you can see how that works, connecting SQL and Power BI together. Because like I said before, a lot of the organizations and environments that you'll be working with may likely have, not even may, will have an SQL Server database. They will have an SQL. So knowing how to work with it is key. So here we can connect here, or if you cannot find what you're looking for here, you can always come to get data from other sources. Click on this and it will give you other sources to connect to. So we're going to click on MySQL Server straight away. It's also here. You can, click here as well. And this is the interface. Now, for some people, the interface may be different in the sense that you may have it's asking you. if you want to connect with your Microsoft account, if you want to connect with Windows authentication, or if you want to connect with your SQL Server database credentials. So it usually offers for the MSQL, the one we are using now, for this one, because it's connected this way because my Power BI is connected to the SQL Server database. But for if yours is not yet, if you've not connected to it before, it's going to give you three options. So please pay attention. Three options. The first option will be to connect using SQL Server password, username and password, where you come to your SQL Server here. You can get your server. Okay, this is it actually. This is your server name here. This is your server name. This is mine. So this is what yours will read. The server name, mine, the master class is the database name, but this is your server name here. Okay. So it may ask you for your credentials, and you have to put in your username and your password for your SQL Server database. It may also ask if it is SSMS, because SSMS, this particular SQL Server is a Microsoft product. So if it is SSMS, it would ask if you want to use Microsoft authentication, which is your Microsoft login details that is connected to the Microsoft cloud. So if you have that, you can use it. Or it will ask you if you want to use Windows authentication. And also because obviously this laptop is a Windows laptop. If you want to use Windows authentication, it will ask for that. And you can also use your Windows authentication. It will use your Windows authentication details to log into your to allow you connect into Power BI. So I just needed to make that clear. But in the case of the other database, which is the MySQL, it will ask for the SQL Server login details, and you need to know your username and your password. So here, my server is actually, like I said before, let me copy my server details from here. This is my server details here. Oh, no, no. Okay. 1 minute. I need to get back. Okay. Yep. So my server details are SQL added.to seller added.to slash SQL Express. That's what it is. So I'm just going to put that in. And that's a forward slash, I believe, SQL Express. And let's check if that's correct before we log in. Yes, Stella added.to slash SQL Express. That's mine. And this is your database name. My database name is Masterclass, like the database that we created. So the server name is the one in caps lock, and your database name is the one in the small whatever. So here you can actually put in your database. You can put in the database if you want. It is optional. If you don't put in the information, it will show you all the databases in your system if you click on OK. But I also want to explore you can also explore the SQL statement option. So let me put in my database name here. So it will know where it's picking stuff from. And what I want to do is I want to bring in the select superstore orders table. So I'm just going to come here and what I've already typed, the query, I'm just going to copy it. Superstore orders. No, I don't need superstore returns, because I want to bring in my superstore orders table. So I'm just going to copy the query and I'm going to put it here. I'm going to remove this one because I do not need it. And I'm going to click on OK. Okay, yes. So I was talking about, and it's going to ask for, okay, do you want your database, or do you want your Microsoft account? Do you want your Windows? And so I'm just going to use my Windows and use current credentials, basically. So I'm going to connect to that. Okay, to access. Okay, that's okay. That's a normal, it normally comes up with that. So you just click on OK. Right, so this is my table here. and I want to make sure that everything is complete and my delivery column is here. So when you write your queries and your queries are working in my SQL, you can just copy your queries and use the advanced editor to bring in your table. The good thing about queries, the good thing about the queries are you can specify the columns that you want. So I can just come here. If I don't want all the columns, I can just use my select statement to write the columns that I want. I don't really need to bring in the whole information, and I can actually create new tables and just copy all of that code and just put it there, put it where I added the former one. So, and what that does is it allows you to do a lot of things at the source, meaning when you come into Power BI, Power BI has less work to do. That's what it is basically. So I'm just going to click on transform data, and I've just loaded one table, but I loaded that table using the query method. I'm going to load the second table using the GUI method. Okay, so it's this is it, and I'm going to rename this table to Superstore. As I don't want it to have what we call Superstore, and it's going to be orders. So I don't want it to have. So what I'm going to do now is I want to bring in the order table. I can use my recent source, and you just click on recent sources. Now, if you click on Masterclass, okay, this is the former the database. Yeah, this is the database we are on now. So I'm just going to click on this and see what it brings out for us. Okay, now it's bringing out the same code, and that's because I put a code against it. So instead of that, I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to come back here and let's try new source. SQL Server is already connected to it, so it won't ask for any authentication any longer. Actually, this is a long way of doing things. We should still be able to use the recent sources. Okay, yes. So recent source, and I'm going to click on Masterclass. And I want to bring in my Superstore. No, we have the others. I want to bring in the Superstore returns, which is the second table. So this is another way of doing it. The first way is by using your queries to specify whatever you want to specify. The second way is by bringing it through the user interface. And so this is it. And we are going to have our Superstore returns here. Yes, import mode. So we can have it here. So like we can see, we do not need to do any transformations on the Superstore returns table. Let's come to the Superstore orders table. And here we just need to make sure that everything is as it should be. Anything we do to the table will come here as applied steps. Everything is as it should be. The data types are as they should be. Let's see that. Let's see. And up until okay. Quantity, not exactly. Quantity should be a whole number. You can't have 2.5 of something, I believe, because there are products like electronics and co. And then we have our discount, profit, and delivery time. Delivery time is whole number as well. So we have everything. Everything looks good at the moment. Every other transformation will be done at the other side on the Power BI, the main Power BI. Yes, so we've loaded both tables, rename tables if necessary, and remove all unwanted columns. We want all our columns at this point, so we can always edit whatever needs to be done can be done in the Power BI environment, basically. So yes, so here we are with this applied steps. So we are just going to load it into the Power BI environment, and we're going to continue our transformations there. So I'm clicking on close and apply. It's going to apply the changes, and we are going to see our tables. So because we'll be doing some time intelligence functions, we would be creating a date table, and we'll be creating that in a flash. So don't blink. Um, and the date table is necessary, apply change. Yes, okay. So now that we've loaded our tables, you can see them here. We have the superstore orders and the superstore returns table. So the next thing we want to do now is to create our date table, because we are going to carry out time intelligence functions, and it's good practice to create your date table. So this is where we are. We are creating a date table. And so in order to create a date table in Power BI, I think we have a video on that also. In order to create a date table in Power BI, you can create it in Power Query, and you can also create it in the interface here. So what we need to do is we just click on New Table, and we're going to call this, maybe we call this calendar table, calendar. Okay. Okay. Oh, fine. We don't need to, this is for the first column. We can rename it here. We'll come and rename it here when we're ready. So for our first column, we are going to call this dates. And for the dates, sorry, no, not dates, calendar table. Let's rename it here, calendar table. And we are going to use a function called calendar auto. And the reason we are going to do that is because calendar auto will look at all the dates in your model, that's in your tables. It looks at all the dates in the tables. It looks at the beginning date and the ending dates, and it generates dates for all of those years. And the dates are without what do you call it? Without um, gaps. Because if you must perform time intelligence functions in Power BI, and if you must you mark a table, if you must mark a table as a date table, it must not have any gaps from beginning of the year to the end of the year for all the years that are present. So it's important to note that. And so yes, so calendar table, and this is what we have. It has generated dates. And if we look at this downwards, if we sort descending, you notice 2018. So meaning that the dates in our table are from 2018 and 2014 to 2018. But I've also noticed that it normally has an extra year. So the last date on our table will most likely be, the last date on our table will most likely be 2017. So we need to add more columns to this date table, because we can't just have dates. We need years. We need all of those things. And in order to do that, we just come here and you to new column. So it has changed the name of our table here. It's calendar table from what we can see. And this new column, the first thing we are going to do we're going to add the years. So year would be, and we're going to use a function called format. So what format does is, oh, where's this? Sorry. What format does is it takes the argument of, it goes into your date table, and it formats whatever you feed it into the value that you want. So the name of our date table is the calendar table. So we come to calendar table, and the column that we want to extract the year from is the date column. So every of the calculation we'll be doing will be based on the date table. So, and that will be comma. So this basically means from the calendar table, go to the date column and give me the year. So in order for us to get the year, we are going to use what we call, this is the format basically. Why 4Ys? When you write 4Ys, it knows that you're looking for the year. So we are going to mark that, and it's going to give us the year, and that the year is 2014. So we're also going to do this for our other columns, like we want to know the months. So I'm going to do months now. I'm going to copy that. And for the months, I just want the first three letters. So I'm going to use 3Ms, and I'm going to do this. If you want to do quarter as well, you can do quarter. It's also the same format. 2Qs, 3Qs. It knows what you are looking for. And so I'm going to do a new column, months, and I'm going to do month number. You will understand why I've decided to do that later. So month number is this, and this is it, month number. So we have the year, we have the month, we have the month number, and we can also do days. For the days, that's if you need it. If for some reason you're going to need the days, so you're going to, or like day of the week, basically, put that back, and I want the first three letters, and I'm just going to call it DDD. And it's going to give you the days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and all of that. So you can also confirm, was the 1st of January 2014, was it a Wednesday? So this is okay for now. And we've created our calendar table here. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to mark the calendar table as a date table. So it should be able to do that here. No, it's not coming up there. Table tools, basically, and mark as date table. Yes, mark as date table on, and it's going to ask you to choose a column that is going to use to validate. So it's validated it successfully, meaning we can use this for time intelligence functions. We can use this for forecast, for whatever we want to do. So now that we've done that, we can move on to creating our measures. Remember, we have questions to answer. Let's come back here. And the questions that we have to answer, the issues to be addressed. Basically, you have to address we need to have KPIs. So we have to do the trend analysis for the KPIs. We have to do breakdown of sales and profit by region and categories. We need to know, are the regions eating their targets? What is the impact of delayed deliveries, and what is the future forecast like? So let's go back. And the first thing we want to do is we want to create our KPIs. So for the KPIs, we are going to create what we call a measures table. And in order to create a measures table, this is one of the ways of creating your tables in creating tables in Power BI. You can just come here and enter data and you create your table. But before we do that, I just remember that we may need to do some, okay, we'll do that later. We'll do that when we started with our visuals. So we see how it works. So we're going to come here and it's going to be enter data. So we are going to create a table here and it's going to be enter data. And this enter data will be measures table. Let's call this measures. Let's remove the table and let's load it. Now it's going to come somewhere here. Okay, so measures, this is it. So we are going to create all our KPIs now. The KPIs that we want to create are already listed here. Of course, you can create a whole lot more. Oh, I didn't list them. Okay, they are here. We've created our date table already. So we want to create the KPIs. We want to look at total sales, total profit, total orders, and late deliveries. You can create a whole lot more. Total quantity, you can create total number of customers. You can do a whole lot more. But because this is like a crash course, so you can actually, when you're developing your own dashboard, you can follow the same metrics to create other things. Total customers, you can follow the same method. So it shouldn't be a verbatim dashboard. You can make yours more dynamic, have a lot more measures. So this is like acting as a guide, but from beginning to the end is it's a portfolio worthy project because it simulates the actual work environment. You're coming from your SQL Server database and you're coming into the Power BI, things like that. So, and even in the SQL Server database, you can create tables. So you may want to watch last month's masterclass that shows how to create tables in the SQL Server environment. Create your tables, copy the queries, and bring them into Power BI. Let Power BI bring in only the things that you need. Okay, so let's come back here. So what we want to do now is we want to create our measures. Do not blink, please. We want to create our measures. We've already created the measures table. So the first thing we are going to do is come to the measures here and just measures, new measure, and it appears somewhere up here. Okay, and we're going to name our measure. The first measure we want to create is total sales. There is no C-suite that doesn't want to know how the sales are doing. And we are going to use a function called sum. Now, this is DAX at its simplest form, okay? And when you master it at the simplest form, you can always take it higher. And what we need is we need the sales column, okay? And don't forget, whatever you open, you must close. Very important. And then we are going to click on this. And you can see right here that it has created the total sales here. Now, what else what we're also going to do, the reason I didn't do some formatting in SQL is because I can do those formattings here. And because this is money, I'm going to put money on it. So I'm going to click it and I'm going to put money on it. And I'm also going to change this auto to do two decimal places. If you remember, it was having some weird figures. In fact, it's total sales, so we can make it one decimal place, not necessarily two decimal places. And then we have the other, we have that on it. So by the time we do something like a table, you will see what it looks like. So I can just draw in like a table here. And just so that we can see what the total sales looks like, if it's taking on what we said it should take on. Okay, so this is it here. It's still having its weird figures. So we can always correct that here. Let's come back to auto too. So we can see that, and you can make it 1 or just round it up to 0. So yeah, so we have a round figure here, total sales. I think this is really small. I don't know if you can see it, but this is just for an example, for example's sake. This is not the real diagram we're going to do. So now that we've done a total sales here, we can actually delete this column 1 that was here before. Delete the column 1 from model. When you delete this column 1, it moves your measures table to the top. So you can have your measures table here. It's always good to have your measures table at the top. So the next measure we are going to create is going to be the total orders. Okay, total sales. Let's do total profit next. Then we do total orders, because total orders um, is another DAX. Total profit, and it's going to be sum. And for sum, we're going to discuss what we are doing here. Okay, because that is where it's not about drawing the dashboard, it's about being able to explain what you do the dashboard for. So let's bring total profits into here and see. Total profits. Okay, total profit is in 2 decimal places. That's okay. Or we can change it if we want to. And so the next measure we are going to create will be the new measure is going to be total orders. Now, total orders is going to count what we call the total orders is it's a text column. Okay, I'm coming. Let me show us what total orders is like. Let me show you what the orders column is like. Now, what we want to work on is on the order ID, and the order ID is not exactly the order ID is not how do I put it? The order ID is a text column. It is not a figures column like the sum, like the profit and the discount and the sales. Is not. The orders ID is a text column, meaning we cannot use sum on it. So what we are going to use on this order ID column is what we call count. And it's going to be distinct count, not just count, distinct count, because we want you to count individual order numbers as number of orders. Because on our table we have products, and for each product, if a customer buys 10 products within one order, if they are going to enter the 10 products into the sales table, you are going to enter the order number 10 times. Does it mean the customer made 10 orders? No. So that is why we are using the distinct count. So distinct count, and we're going to use order ID, and this is what is going to be for us to get the right figure. So, and let's bring our order ID, total orders here as well, and see 296, good. And the last thing we are going to do, the last measure we are going to calculate is called late deliveries. Now, for the late deliveries, we want to know which of the deliveries, we are late deliveries, late orders. Yeah, let's call it late orders. Let's not call it late deliveries. Late orders, or maybe late deliveries is better. I think that makes more sense. Let's call it late deliveries. Okay. For the late deliveries, we want to know what orders arrived late, but we want to, let's put it at the mark of 5 days. So we are going to assume that whatever order arrives after 5 days is late. So we also want to know, because here, if you come to our board here, we said something about part of the issues. Where is it now? Part of the issues to be addressed are the impacts of late deliveries. So if we do not know the late deliveries, how do we want to know? How do we measure the impact on the customers? How do we measure the impact on the sales? So we must calculate the late deliveries. And the late deliveries is, if it's a figures column, is based on the delivery days that we calculated in the SQL environment. The delivery days column is based on that. So how are we going to do this? Because it's a number column, remember. So we are going to use a function called count rows. And that count rows, what count rows does is it's going to go to each row in the table to see if the condition that we are going to specify within this, equation equation if that row meets it. If it meets that condition, then it will count it. If it doesn't meet it, it skips and goes to the next row. So count rows, and we are going to use a function called filter, because when you use count in this kind of context, you must use a function called filter. And it's going to take with the filter, it's going to take the argument of the table name. So our table name is, let me see, that would be Superstore. It should bring it out basically instead of me having to, yes, Superstore orders. And then we are going to, in Superstore orders, we are going to specify the column. And the column is number of, that will be deliveries. Let me gamble a bit. So Superstore orders, that is the name of the table. And then we are going to specify the column. Okay, I think it's flagging this for a reason to tell me that that is the name of the table. That would be super. Yes, yes. So that's why it's flagging that. Delivery time, yes, it's based on delivery time. And I'm going to have to close this. So the argument is the name of the table, then the name of the column. And for the name of the column, it has taken both the superstore orders and the delivery. So this is the argument. If it is wrong, it flags it for you. It lets you know if your code is wrong. And so we've closed that. Whatever you open, you close. This is the name of the column. And we want it to be more than 5 days. So it will be 5 here. And how many commas do we have? One, then two, then two. Yes, so everything is blue now. Delivery time, yes. So let's run this and see if we have our figures here. Okay, let's bring this here. I don't expect it to have a lot of whatever, but yes, so we have our figure deliveries. So count rows takes in the filter, and filter would ask you what table do you want to filter. So this is the filter table, and then it asks you which of the columns on the table, so that I will know. I will go row by row, and then you have to specify with the table name again and the column, and now the condition is 5. So that means that we have, for late deliveries, we have 1,824 in total. But these are for all the years. Don't forget that. It's not just for this year. So we are done with creating our measures. So let's go back and see. We've created our measures. The next thing we would do now is, so we need to start answering all these questions. Trend analysis for the KPIs, breakdown of sales and profit by region and categories. Are the regions hitting their targets? Impact of late deliveries, and what is the future forecast like? Hopefully, we can get to that in the next 20 minutes. So we are going to be super fast with what we want to do. And so these are the answers. We may not get to the forecast bit. So we are going to replicate this dashboard, basically. So the first thing we are going to do is, let's go and start by creating our filters and our KPI cards. So the first thing is a trend analysis for the KPIs, which is this. This is the trend analysis for the KPIs. Before we get here, let's display our KPIs like this. Let's display these ones. So we walk this way and walk, see how far we can go with all of this. So I'm going to just control copy this and put it on the next. It's usually useful just to check stuff on the next page. And I'm going to call this general, because this is the dashboard we want to show to the C-suits. So what do we do now? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our card visual, and we are going to use what we call card new. So this card new is a time saver, is a serious time saver, and we're going to bring in all our KPIs. We're going to bring in total sales, because we want to know the total sales. We are going to bring in total profits. We want to know the total profits. We are going to bring in the total orders. We want to know the total orders. So our total profits doesn't have a number. It doesn't have dollar attached to it. So we are just going to click on the dollar sign and add it to it here, and that's it. And then this is where we have with this, make this way. This is looking so big now. So just a quick format. A quick format would be, we don't need to bother about the title, visual layout, call out values. And for the call out values, we are just going to, let's just change the font, something bigger, Cambria Maths, 12, or maybe 12. Let's see how 12 will be. 12 is small. 14 is smaller. Okay, let's do 25 and see Okay. Okay, the profit is being weird. We'll sort it out. And alignment, that's in the middle. And okay, so also we can look at the labels are on and it has headings. And anyway, we don't need to bother too much about all of this. This is okay here. You can always do more aesthetics as you like, but let's get this done first. So I'm going to look at the total profits again and change this to um, 0. Okay. So this we have this here now, and yeah, so we can move this up. And the next thing, let's have our slicer and have our year in our slicer. So we are coming to our calendar table and we are picking the year here and the year, and then we're formatting the year, slicer settings. We don't want a vertical list. We want a drop down. So we want to manage space. And let's see effects. Let's get a visual border. And for the title, title is off. We can have the title on and put in our year. That's because we may want to use it for other things. And we can change this to Cambria Maths. 14. 14 looks really big, so we can do 12. And we can make it bold if we want and put it in the middle. The bold looks intimidating, so we can reduce that and maybe increase it a bit. And take off the year bits. We are going to turn that off, slicer header off, and then move this up, up, up. Try not to spend too much time on aesthetics so that we can do other things. So yes, so we have this here. We can do the arrangements later. For this, you can add images to it if you want. Like I said before, dashboard is good to have a nice looking dashboard, but the most important thing is to be able to interpret your dashboard, and that is what I'm actually looking forward to, dashboard interpretation, because you can always play with all these things and know what works and what doesn't work. Okay, so we have that done, and let's look at the next thing to do. We have our KPIs represented. We want to do the total sales by region. We want to do profits and profit targets. So total sales by region. Let's come here. We have total sales and the x-axis region on and to be able to, it's very important to know how to manage your dashboard space and still be able to communicate information. So we have the total sales on the x-axis and we have the region on the y-axis. So our region is coming from superstore orders, and that would be this region on the y-axis. And instead of us having buttons, we can just have this that shows the information straight away. And you can always take off the grid lines if you want. And yeah, so this is this. And we can change the title. I think total sales by region is cool. The title is on. Let's just centralize it and probably change it to centralized title and change this to Cambria Maths. Yep, it's looking intimidating, to be honest. Looking so big, yes. And so for this, I'm just going to, for the effects, I'm going to give it an outline. So general, am I on the right visual? Yes. Effects, and I want to give it an outline. The reason is because so that I can no, I'm always using shadows. I'm not using shadows this time around. So, yes, so we can have that outline. Now we want to create a profit gauge. We want to know those that are meeting the profit target and those that are not meeting the profit target. So what the good thing about this particular bar chart is that we can know the amount that is made. You can actually change this from million. It doesn't have to be million, but you know, when you change the years, the values reduce. So it doesn't have to be million. It can be thousand. It's up to you. Okay, so the values are not changing. I think I know what the issue is. We have to come back to our model view. Sorry about that. And connect the tables. That is why the values are not changing. We need to connect our tables. So we connect Superstore ID to Superstore orders. Also, we talked about this in the last masterclass. table connections. So please do well to refer to that. I will link that. We'll link that when we upload this video on YouTube. It may be good. You may want to watch that first before watching this. You will understand a lot of the concepts here. And that was heavily on SQL. So this is like a follow-up on that. And so we can also link the dates here to the other dates here. Yes, one to many, and then we save. So whatever we do anything here now on this, sorry, this is the different one. So you can see the values we start changing when we pick anything here now. The values we change. We can see that the values we change. And, okay, I didn't click that. Let me take off the grid lines. Grid lines, take off the grid lines and off. So then we have a clean page. Okay, x-axis. Maximum, minimum, no values. Auto decimal places, display units, no. And that should be, okay, so it's here, thousands. Yes, so I think this is better for us. So the next thing we want to do is the profit gauge. And for the profit gauge, we are going to use what we call a gauge. A very interesting stuff. So, and the value we want to look at is we want to see total profits. So we want to see the total profits, and that is the value that we'll have here. And this is like the total profit for the year 2015. So if you actually click on each of the regions, it should tell you what the profit is. But aside from that, because we want to know if these regions are meeting their targets, what we can do is with the total sales here, we'll add a target value. So we had it. We had what we call a target value, and in order to do that, you can't do that from here. You have to come to visuals here. You can only do that from there if you're using another calculated measure. So since we are not using another calculated measure, we are going to do that from this place. So when we come here, what we are going to look at is click down on the gauge axis, and we click on auto. So on auto here, we're going to put let's make it 25,000. 25,000. So 25,000 is our target. So you can easily check East, did they meet? Okay, this ones did not meet. West, did they meet? They didn't meet. Central, no, they are out of the way. South. So these ones did not even meet their targets for the year 2015, maybe 2016. Or probably management is delusional and they are thinking that, okay, let's change this figure to let's change this figure to 20,000. Okay. Let's not okay, so we can see, yes, we can see a better function of this. Maybe we make it 18,000. It's just so that we see how this works. But in an actual environment, whatever the cutoff is what you put. Okay, but we want to see how this works. And you can also put conditions like using the FX. If you want, you can put a condition that when it's more than this particular number, this is the color that it should bring out for you. So the total profit is going to be okay. So what I want to do is the effects, and just to give it an outline, a visual border on, and we have the visual border here. So that's done. And the next thing we want to do, okay, we are trying to move really fast. The next thing we want to do is we want to see the total sales by category, top 5 spenders, top 3 product. Top 5 spenders is top 5 customers, basically. So let's see the total sales by category. And we are going to need a bar chart for that. So we come here, total sales by category. We're going to need a bar chart. Oh, this is a column chart. No, we don't need this column chart. What we need is a bar chart. Remove. And that will be, oh yeah, actually that's what I'm going to use. It's just I don't need figures to cluster it. So on our x-axis, we are going to have what was that again? Total sales by region, I believe. Total sales by category. Okay, total sales by category. And so total sales by category would have our total sales. Total sales will be on the y-axis because it's going to show the length. And then we are going to have the category on the x-axis. So category is going to be on the x-axis here. And we can now format it further, take off the grid lines off. We can have we can take off the x-axis and y-axis figures. You don't necessarily, you already know that. Okay, let's put that back because, yeah. Values, let's put that back. So we don't need to. And title is on. So with the title, you can, this is auto, title text auto. Let's come back here. We can actually have our title here. So we can take this, I think we had this title on. We can take this title off and put a, yes, so it has taken off the title for the x-axis. And we can have our title on here, total sales by category, and we can do that formatted like we formatted the rest, Cambria Maths, and that, and we can centralize it. And yeah, so total sales by category. And we can also take off, you don't necessarily need the title on the axis now that you have a, okay, y-axis, grid lines off, okay, grid lines off, and I need to check the x-axis, y-axis, values, range values off. Oh no, values on, title off. And for the values, we can change what we want our values to look like. So the values can be display units, not, we'll have it in the thousands. So yes, so we are good with that. Total sales by category. Remember, it's because I highlighted central, that's why it's looking this way. And I also want the outer visuals. So I want this, I want the effect, and I want the visual border on. So we've done that. And the next thing we want to do is we want to, okay, this is, let's try to move faster, started late. So the next thing we're going to do is top 5 spenders and top 3 products according to total sales. So we are doing this according to total sales, top 5 spenders and top 3 products. And we are going to use, a table for that. Oh, I'm sorry. So we're going to use a table, and the table is going to be, and in this table, we are just going to put customer name because we want top 5 spenders, and we are going to put total sales, basically, total sales. And because we want the top 5, what we are going to do is, first of all, we are going to take off the totals. We don't need the totals. We just need the value and the figure. And then we are going to come to filters, and we are going to look at customer name. And instead of basic filtering, we are going to do top N, and we are going to do top N means top numbers. It can also work for bottom values. And so we are looking at top 5 customers, and it's asking for the data fields. So we are going to bring the total sales into here because we want to measure it by the total sales, and we're going to apply the filter. And these are the top 5 customers, okay? And the top 5 customers, we don't necessarily need the sales figure, so we can take off the sales column, to be honest. And so the effects we're going to add the, let's see, general, give it an outline, visual border, and we want to take off the, we want to put the title in. So general title, we're going to turn on the title, and we're going to call it top 5 customers, top 5 customers. And this is going to be Cambria Maths, and it's going to be that. So we have the top 5 customers, and we have their customer name and all of that. So a visual, we're going to look at the values here. Okay, we are good with that. Cell elements, customer name. Yes, we're good with all of that. So what we also want to do is, because we don't necessarily need the sales figures, so I can take off the sales here. It doesn't do anything to it. It doesn't do anything. We've already applied the filter, so, and you can play with this as much as you want. Change the, you can change the, what do you call it? The lettering. So I'm just going to control copy this and do the same, use this information for top 3 products. So the first thing I'm going to do for my top 3 products, it won't be customer name this time. It's going to be products. So I'm going to come here, and I'm just going to pick my product name. and put it in here. And see, it's reading top 5 customers. That's not hard. You come and you change the title from top 5 customers to top 3 products. And we are also going to change the filter. And we are going to come here and change the filter. So cancel this. It's going to be product name, and this time around is going to be top N and 3, and it's going to be by total sales also. So I'm going to come here. So basically, instead of drawing another stuff, I'm just basically just editing the values. So this is what we have here. So we have the top 3 products and we have the top 5 customers. We are almost done. Also, we want to display the delivery, and to display the delivery, the late deliveries, we just want to display it like this, as seen here. Number of late deliveries. This is how we want to display it. And in order to do that, you just come to you just do a text box basically. We use a text box to do that. So text box, and for this text box, which is here, you're just going to write inside the number of late deliveries. Basically, we are using a lot of visuals equals that you can always use to do other things. So the number of late deliveries, we are going to look at we are going to use the late deliveries measure. So late deliveries, because that's what tells us, um, I have to spell that right. Late deliveries, yes. It's going to check for it. So it's supposed to bring that out as a measure, late deliveries. Yes, so it has brought it out and as a value. So I'm going to name this late deliveries. You can add other things here if you want. And I'm going to, so this is general. Yes, we don't need to do any other thing here. The only other thing we need to do is probably give it a nice font and make it maybe 14 and save. So here, this is what we have now. Number of late deliveries. I'll change this again, format it again. Cambria Maths 14, and this is it. And here we go, and we can make it bold if you want, and we can center it so that everything doesn't start looking ridiculous up there. Let me make this more 16. Okay, so good. So we now have this, and we can, the effects, we can also give it an outline, visual border. That's okay. And bring this here, and okay. Okay, so it does this thing a lot where it just decides that it doesn't want to move where you want it to move. So because of that, I just devised another means of moving it. So yes, so the most important thing is to get it to where you want it to go. That is the most important thing actually. And so this is what we have here for our late deliveries. And so we can move this here, this way, and we can do this arrangement later basically, but this is what we want to achieve. So now we have the number of late deliveries, and you can, for each year, when you come here 2017, you have it changes and everything changes. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, we have just 2 visuals left. I'm excited. Total profit by month and the KPI trend analysis. This will be the last one. The most important thing is you can get as much information as you want on your dashboard, but also be mindful to make sure you're getting the most important information and that you are managing space. So what we are doing now is we are getting a lot of information on, but we are also managing space. So like I said, we are doing the total profit by month where we have months and we have total profit, and we are using the bar charts. We use a lot of bar charts because it represents things easily. But there are other things you can do. You can do like you can do a drill through to get other information, and that also helps. So for this one, we are having the months. Mm, the month will be here on the month is going to be on the x-axis, and on the y-axis we are having I think that's total profit. I forget that now. Um, we are having total profit by month. Okay, yes, total profit by month. Sorry about that. So we are having our total profit, and our total profit is coming to the y-axis. And you can see straight away that we have some negative values and they're already being depicted here. But if you look at this at the bottom, you notice it's starting from March, September, November. Now, this is not what it's supposed to be. So if you have this problem, the way to solve this problem, come to your table view, come to your dates table, um, your calendar dates table. And this is the reason why we created month number. So we can use it to sort the months. So we are going to use a feature called sort by column. When you click on this, on the column, it brings out all the column stuff. So sort by column, and we're going to sort by month number. So by the time we do that, when you come back to your report view, it's supposed to change now. Okay, let's come back here. It didn't change because we didn't put sort by month. So sort axis, and we are going to put month. So you can see that it's done descending, and we are going to change it back to ascending. But at least sort ascending, but at least you can see January, February, March, April, May. You can straight away see the months that were negative, and you can see the months that were, you see, the months that were negative are the ones below the 0K line, and you can see that. So this is the business intelligence aspect of things. It's not just coming up with a dashboard. These are the things that we hammer on. And these are the reasons we ask. This is where we start asking questions: the who, the what, the why, the when, the how. So these are the ways that we do these things. Okay, so I'm going to move these top customers here. Um, Bearing in mind that sometimes my dashboard just decides that it wants to do what it wants. Like this thing just decide. This text box can be very rigid. So it can be very rigid, doing its own thing, to be honest. So yeah, so top 5 customers, I can move that here and I can put that a little bit more. I don't need these filters. Um, yeah, like that. And I can actually move my top 3 products. So because I want to create my KPI trend analysis, which is a very simple thing to create, and we are going to see that now. So top 3 products. Okay, it's an interactive dashboard, so definitely it's going to everything I touch. So we'll come back to arranging that. So the last thing, because this gauge already is looking very big, so we can move this here, and we can have our top 3 products. We can reduce this basically, reduce that, move this like this. We'll still do aesthetics. Okay, we'll still do aesthetics. Just a little bit of aesthetics. This can actually be made to appear in the middle. We'll sort that out in a bit. Top 3 products. I'm sure this is not what the actual board looks like, but we'll sort it out. Okay, so we'll sort all of that out in a bit. So the next thing we want to do is the KPI trend analysis, which is the last part of this, and then see how we have answered the questions so far. So I'm just going to still look at how these things were arranged so that we can have a proper arrangement. Customer name. Okay, I still have total sales. Okay, maybe that's why it's looking awkward. Anyway, so yes. See, it's still a bit how that was arranged. Okay, so we need to make that a little bit smaller. Make the figures here a little bit smaller. Yes, so that we don't have column values. Make them like 18, maybe. We can still see them, so which is good. 18 and move this here because it won't move otherwise. Okay, and move this here. For the sake of keeping things neat. Okay, yes, and that's because we want to have this here. Oh, what have we done? Okay, late delivery is 1. Okay, it's not it's the yes. So let's just do this, make these ones look a little bit better so we don't have to spend time making everything look nice again. Okay. So I think we are good to an extent. So we have space for the last thing on the, I'm just going to add the total sales back here, just so that it looks better than what it looks like currently. And try to centralize the title on. So that would be centralize it. And also do the same for this and centralize this as well. Center, top three products, and then yes. Okay, so I think it's looking better, even if this still looks like it has a lot of space, but we are okay for now. Yes, so our trends, total profit by month. This should be, we should have this in the middle as well, the title, and the last bit will be to do the trend analysis. So for this total profit by month, to be honest, you can actually, for the total profit by month, you can do a drill down. You can do a drill through and you can have that on another page, but we can't do that today, obviously, because of time and all of that. Because that would give you more details. So this is a summary, and this is what your summary should look like. People can see things at a glance. They can, look at things at a glance. Top three customers, top three products, the year. They can see things at a glance. Total sales by region, total profit by month. Okay, this is total profit. We should change this title basically. The title should be total profit, profit by profit gauge or something like that. Let me check what we call this. Profit and profit targets. Okay. Before we now do our KPI trend analysis, profit and profit targets and profit target. So, and that should be, and we should have that in Cambria Math and 13, like the all others, and we should centralize that as well. Centralize that. And do the same for total profit for this as well by month, total profit by month, and we should centralize that. It should be Cambria also, Cambria Maths 13, and that's it. Yes, everybody's looking well behaved at the moment. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is the KPI trend analysis. And also, this is one that you shouldn't blink because it's also to manage time and it's also very good for you to know how to do it. So we are going to use what we call the line charts. With this line charts, I know there may not be enough space on my KPI trend analysis, but it's okay. So I'm on my x-axis, I'm going to bring in, because this is one of my KPIs, I'm going to bring in total sales. Sorry, on my y-axis, I'll bring in total sales. And on my x-axis, I'm going to bring in the months. It's up to you. You can bring in the years. And straight away, you can see what my total sales looks like. So what I'm going to do is, because it's a trend analysis, I want to have all three KPIs here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to modeling. For my modeling, I'm just going to click on new parameter. And I'm going to click on fields because I want to create a KPI trend analysis. And I'm going to name this a KPI trend analysis. So this is how you get a lot of information on the dashboard, and still make it look nice. And the measures, so measures, I'm going to click on total, the measures that I need total sales, move it there, total profits, move it there, total orders, move it there, and I'm going to create it. And so when you create that, it's going to come up with a filter. And this is the filter here. Filter, ignore this. And it's also going to come up here in your data part. You will find the KPI trend analysis. It is right here. This is it. And this is my filter. So it usually comes up with a filter. But what I want to do is I want to change it. I want to change the settings to, not drop down. I want it to be tiles. Now, making it tiles, and I also want to change the name, title to KPI trend analysis. No, sorry. This may be a lot, so you have to go through the video one after the other. And Comic Sans, no, it's not Comic Sans, sorry. It's Cambria Maths. and it's 13. And we also need to turn off the whatever it is that we have, the slicer header, turn it off. And we're going to move this way like this. And that's because I want it to sit on this. Now, the thing with this is the idea with this KPI trend analysis is that when you click on this, any of this stuff, it should affect this diagram. But as you can see, nothing is changing here. It's not changing anything here. So let me just move this up a bit. Let me move this up a bit. I think I have a lot of space here so that I can move this up a bit. Move this up a bit. And and then I'm going to move this up a bit like this. Move this up a bit also. And so let me move this up a bit. So KPI trend analysis, I've named that, and let me move that into, this is it. And yes, so for the total sales, and let me turn off the title for this visual. That should be on, where is that again? Title off for that visual. Okay. So for the KPI trend analysis, it is not at the moment it's not working with this. It's not working with it at all because it's not it should be able to move this to no, trying to bring that forward and bring that back. Okay. For the KPI trend analysis, it should control this, but it's not controlling it. So what we need to do is we'll come back here, go to visual, come back, no, not visual, come to data, your data here. We remove the total sales and then we move the KPI trend analysis, the parameter we've just created, and we put it here. So by the time you click on, I need to move this down a bit so that I can see my trend analysis. So by the time you click on total sales, you have total sales. You see all three. So I can have total sales, I can have total profits, I can have total orders. And okay, if total orders is not working, it's working. It's working. So this is it. So basically, we've been able to achieve the dashboard, and I want to put this on top of this. Let me put this outline here first. This outline, let me outline this. So you can actually make your own look better than this. And I think we still have what we call we still have the forecast trend. Okay, so now we have what we need. We can move this down a bit. So basically, and you can group the both of them if you want. You can group them and we can make this, turn this off, turn off all the, turn off the x-axis, turn off the, no, we don't want the values off. We just want the title off for that. Turn off the title. Yes, and for the y-axis also, we turn off the title so that we can have, because it's a trend, so we don't necessarily need to have all of those things. We already know that it's KPI trend analysis, and when you click on this, click on that, it will show you what each of them are. And you can put on the data points, it's up to you. You can put on data labels, and data labels, but it's looking really rough. So when you create yours, you can have time to have enough space to make enough space. So this is what the summary of the dashboard looks like. And we are going to apply the theme in a bit because this is where we are going. And we probably won't be able to do this today, but this has to do with line, whatever. So yes, but this is, do we have any questions at the moment? And before we ask our questions also, because now, in order to answer the questions, we've done our trend analysis for the KPIs, we've done the breakdown of sales and profits by region and categories. How do I know? When you click on each of those regions, you will see that. Are the regions hitting their targets? And what is the future forecast like? The future forecast is another diagram entirely, and we are running out of time at the moment. And for the future forecast, Basically, what you just do is you have your time, you bring in your time, this thing here. Let's see if we can quickly do that because it's people want to know what the forecast is like, don't they? So, and we can bring in the total sales to the y-axis, and we can, for the x-axis, we just use the dates because whatever you're doing for forecast, it has to be continuous. Very, very important. It has to be continuous. Now, this is where we had the forecast stuff. We have a trend line. We put on the trend line, and we also come to the forecast down here, and we put it on. So when you put on the forecast straight away, you can see, because what we have here is by the year. Normally, we should have a month and year. We can always create that. A month, if you have a month and year, you are able to see it. You will see the forecast because this is a year, is shorter. But when you have the month and year, you can see the forecast through the months and through it's a whole lot longer than that. So, but we don't have time to do that today because I have a class in a bit and I have a class now, basically. So so the last thing will be, okay, if you want to check what the profit is per region, by the time you click on all of this, you can see profit has gone down. You can see all of them, top five, everything adjusts, the product, east, everything just, and you can see number of late deliveries. So you start asking questions like, what impact does delivery have on, like a month in February, the total profit was less. We have a negative. If you click on it, probably February had the most number of late deliveries. Maybe for the West, we can check the West and see. So it's interactive. For the West in April, they had little the profit was negative, and see the number of late deliveries, 183. So you can actually check, pick on each of them, May, click on um, and you can create a separate slicer for the regions actually, because if this is not giving you what you want, you can actually create a separate slicer for the regions, and you see profit and profit target. You can see those that exceeded their profit, those that met their profit, and maybe south their profits, they didn't meet profits. See the number of late deliveries, 86. And you can even drill down to what is causing the deliveries. You can actually add more details to each of this. Like this now, category totals is highlighted. I can actually add late deliveries to this to see. So you can add more details. This is the purpose of your dashboard. You see that these ones, they didn't even make profit target at all. The central, and look at their number of late deliveries, 165. They had a lot of negative figures. So there is a whole lot more to do with your dashboard, a whole lot more. You can see the trend analysis also. You see the total sales, the total profit, total orders. You can see even with the total sales doesn't necessarily mean the sales going up doesn't necessarily mean that your profit will go up. So these are things that we use for discussion. And for us to, like I said, you can do forecast. Aside from forecast, you can do drill down to see what products are causing issues. You can look at you can look at the parameters causing problems. And those are you can do those using other sort of visuals, to be honest. There are other visuals for that. And so in light of that, we do have our data analysis course coming up on the next week Saturday. We're starting an actual data analysis course next week Saturday. So I'm going to put I'm going to put this team. I'll show us how to add the team to it. So we do have our data analysis course coming up next week Saturday, and it's going for it's still the beginning of the year, and so we are still being nice. And because the goal is not the money, the goal is to help people achieve their tech dreams, help them build future resilient careers. And so we are offering it for 199 euros. And for those that are not in Nigeria, if you are in Nigeria, it's 100K, and it's going to run for 6 to 8 weeks. And we are going to be diving into Power BI and diving into SQL. And that is not where we are going to stop. We're also going to dive into cloud computing, how to do business intelligence in the cloud as well. And we are going to talk about branding, how to do your portfolios, and all of these things are the things we're going to talk about on the course. And of course, we are going to go beyond the dashboard to forecasting, to drilling down, to getting really intelligence from your dashboard, and how to tell stories with data. So it's not enough to just have a dashboard. How do you tell stories with your data? Because that's the data storytelling is another skill by itself. So let me see, come back here, and where is my video now? So data storytelling is another skill by itself, and we are going to learn how to tell stories with data. We're going to learn how to forecast. We are going to learn how to work with SQL databases and SQL queries, because all of those things that we did today are just like intro. Though we did do a bit with the Power BI, to be honest, but there is more to it. We also have the cloud computing aspect to things. So all of this is just going to cost €199, and it's payable in installments. And we are going to be working from 6 to 8 weeks. And aside from the group sessions, you also have access to personal sessions. Probably there's something you did not understand in class. You can always catch like a 30 minutes during the week, and we can always, help you through it. And we also look at your journey. So we do things tailored to you. And for those that don't like to learn in a group, probably you want to learn in a custom manner. You can always do that also, and that costs €399. That's for personal classes. But if you are okay with learning in a group, you also have access to 30 minutes 30 minutes during the week to sort things out. So let's go and add our team to make this whole dashboard come together and make it look nice. And also, if you have any questions, or you want some more clarity based on the course, you can chat us up on WhatsApp, and we can arrange a meeting. If you want more clarity based on the offerings of the course, or how it is going to relate to your future career, you can chat us up on WhatsApp, and we'll set up a meeting, and we'll discuss how it's going to relate to your future career. So we want to okay, that time is almost gone. So we want to add a team to it. So what the team we're going to add, where is this team? View. Yes. We're going to add a team, and we're going to use this team called Tidal. I'm going to add it to it, and that's just it. It's just, well, I just like it because it just makes it look well, so it's up to you, and you can do some more editing if you want. You can still change certain colors. You can, make things look better. And because it's a team, it adds it across board. So you can see that because it's a team, this is what it does to it. So we have the general and we have the forecast here. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions before we call it a day?
Yeah, can I add something?
Yes, please, you can.
Yeah, it's probably a stupid one, but I just wanted to know the difference between this um and Excel, doing it on Excel and then doing it here. What was actually the difference?
Okay, the difference between this and doing it on Excel, right? Excel has some constraints. With Excel, you can only have rows of data up to 1 million rows. But with Power BI, you can have up to 100 million rows. And Power BI is designed basically for business intelligence. That is what it was designed for. Though the Power Query engine in Power BI is the Power Query engine in Excel. So it was built on Excel as an improvement, like a real improvement on Excel. And Excel, you cannot get Excel into the cloud. You can get Power BI into the cloud. So the dashboard that I have just built, I can deploy it. I can deploy it into a cloud environment, or I can deploy it online, and people can have access to it online. If you understand what I mean. So other people can come in and interact with that board, with that dashboard online. You cannot do that with Excel. But Power BI allows you to do that. You can collaborate with people online on that dashboard. You can your bosses can be somewhere in the United States and you are in Africa, and they can interact with the dashboard. So those are the things that Power BI provides, the cloud environment that Excel does not have. So Excel has those limitations in terms of data size and in terms of connections. Power BI allows you to connect to a whole lot. You can connect to a whole lot of data sources. But Excel there's a constraint with that when it comes to Excel. So with Power BI is the flexibility that it offers. So I hope I've answered your question. Have I answered your question?
Oh yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have other questions? You can always chat us up on WhatsApp if you have any more questions. And we will upload this video on our YouTube channel. And like we advised, you may want to watch the previous masterclass that was on SQL in February, and you can catch up from there. You would see how databases work. And a document would also be uploaded for those that want to download and install SSMS. And we'll upload the document as well. And the data analysis class will commence next week, Saturday, at about this time. And we'll be working on Power BI and SQL and cloud computing and data storytelling. And within 6 to 8 weeks, you should be ready for the job environment. In fact, by the 6th week, you should be ready because it will be tailored to you, and it costs just 199 euros if you are outside of Nigeria, and it's payable in installments. And if you're somebody that doesn't like to learn in groups, you can chat us up and you can have your custom provision as well. And for those that are in Nigeria, is 100,000, and it's also payable in installments. So I think this is what we call it a day. If we do not have any questions,